will look at how this is going to impact us and our sports programs that we had planned for the spring, and we will have updates for residents in the coming day or so about what that will mean. But what it does, while we are excited about the vaccination campaign and the rollout and how many citizens in Westmount have been able to get their vaccine, we are obviously still very concerned about the spread of COVID, about the increase in variants. So we really we need to reiterate to people again, and every opportunity that we can, that we need to follow the public health guidelines and really do our bit so that we can get on the other side of this. And this it's I know it's discouraging. It's discouraging for kids that were back in school full time. It's discouraging for those who want to get back into their sports teams. It's for the gym owners. We understand that, but we hope that these measures are in place for a short term and have a significant impact. So stay tuned for what the implication will be on our sports program. And we'll have that up on our website in the coming days. But again, I was full disclosure, I've been vaccinated. My son's school has been part of the pilot project, so I've seen it. I've seen it roll out, and just again, a thank you to the healthcare workers that are making sure that this is coordinated in our community. The two closest sites for Westmount residents are the MUHC and the Montreal General Hospital, and then there's sites everywhere all around. That's easy. That information is easy to access. But again, a huge thank you to the healthcare workers that are rolling this out. And as we see that it gets into different stages and it gets younger, and as they get to essential workers, I know that all of council will join me in stressing that our public works employees, our public security employees are very much should be considered essential workers. So. And on that note, I would hand it over. I think we've got lots of different updates tonight, so I will leave it at that. Councillor Bostock.
Good evening, everybody. Just a couple of quick updates. Public security park patrols have started doing patrols at the Summit Woods, Summit Crescent, Roslyn Lookout, just to be a presence in and around the city. So you'll be seeing them around, which is wonderful news. Another reminder is that all dogs must be on leash at the Summit Woods at all times from April 16th to June 15th. And this is to allow the wild plant and flower species to thrive in the Summit Woods. And we really rely on residents and visitors alike to help preserve this fragile area by refraining from picking or walking on the vegetation. So please keep your dogs on leash and stay on the paths. And another reminder, it's springtime and windows are open and we get forgetful when it's nice weather, but to remind residents to make sure your cars are locked and that you're not leaving valuables in your cars, especially overnight. And that's my update for today.
Thanks for that update, and not just on Summit Woods. That will be a big change for a lot of people who have been. Summit Woods is very heavily used right now, and the Public Works team is using the trees that have come down there, and they're making them into wood chips. They are those will be put out on the paths, but there is a reason why those rules are in place, and that is to protect the forest. And our expectation is that citizens adhere to those rules, those guidelines. So thanks for the update. And I do think the patrols that will be up there on the weekends will certainly help. Thank you for that update. Councillor Cutler, I think you have an update.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. A few things to update on. I'll start by just reiterating the mayor's comments around the importance of vaccinating our public works employees and public security employees. These individuals for the last year plus have really been the front lines for us. They're out and about in our parks, patrolling the streets. They're definitely interacting with people on a regular basis, obviously as safely as possible, but I think it's really important that they're considered essential workers and get vaccinated as quickly as possible. And I'll also reiterate the fact that I think we owe a big thank you to all our healthcare workers over the last year. I mean, we say it from time to time, but I don't think it can ever be overstated how important it is for us to have such dedicated healthcare workers. With that, I'll move on to some of the infrastructure and innovation projects that I'll be moving this evening. There's a whole bunch of things. I'll be spending a lot of money tonight. Number of different projects. A few things to highlight. First, we'll be moving on a couple items that are banks of hours for both architectural services as well as engineering, building services. And so this is something that we started, I think, last year, perhaps the year before as well, where we pre-purchase bank of hours for professional services. And we do this to allow the city to be able to retain, obviously, the same organization to provide services. It also moves a lot faster when we do need some sort of work done on behalf of the city. So we'll be moving 2 items related to that. We'll also be removing an item related to water main rehabilitation, spending about 1.1 million for the various water mains within the city. And we'll be moving another item as well regarding the rehabilitation of our street and sidewalks. And this is actually an interesting contract. We're spending about $300,000 here, but it actually came in about 25% less expensive than the same type of contract last year, which I think suggests, broadly speaking, that some of our big projects this year on the infrastructure side may actually, I mean, we were concerned that there could be some significant increases related to COVID and expenses that are being passed along to us. I was pleasantly surprised to see that this was coming in under the expected budget. So hopefully we'll have more projects that fall in line with that going forward. So those are the main things I wanted to highlight. There's a few other items that are far less interesting, but pleased with the progress that we're making on the capital works this year. It's obviously a huge year for us in that regard. Record setting in terms of the amount of work we want to get done, and I'm really proud of the work of our engineering and public works teams to really get that moving. And so we'll have a busy summer. I apologize in advance for all the road closures and detours, but I promise you we're doing this as quickly as possible, and we're being very efficient with every dollar that we spend. So with that, Mayor, I'll stop and hand it back over to you.
Thank you, Councillor Cutler. And you will see Councillor Cutler be busy he always is busy, but we'll be very busy moving several motions over the next 2 months in terms of making sure that that the commitment that we've made on capital works gets done. So thank you for your update on that. Councillor Shammy, do you want to update now or later on? Okay, thank you. Councillor Peart, do you have any updates for now or later on? Perfect. Councillor Brushke, I think you have an update.
Yes, I have a few updates. There's lots going on in the month of April. First, we have the household hazardous waste collection. It's going to be held on April 24th, Saturday, between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. at the library, and under the same COVID protective measures that were set up in October. So you can essentially drive through, walk through, bring your hazardous household hazardous waste, old paints, anything with a toxic symbol on it. Be sure not to put those things in the general regular waste bin, but bring them to this household hazardous waste collection site at the library. And you can also bring your electronics. So both those items. So put it please in your calendar on April 24th, Saturday, 9 to 5. Also, big day in April is Earth Day. So Earth Day is on April 22nd, and it's been held worldwide since 1970. There are events held globally. You can look at and learn more about Earth Day on earthday.org. And more than 193 countries participate. Westmount is one city that participates greatly in this event. We will be hosting a panel discussion event featuring 3 of our resident leaders in the environment: Annie Rouleau, founder and CEO of the Unscented Company; Chris Stern, co-founder and CEO of Carbicrete; and Julie Poitras-Saunier, president of Loop Juice. And this event, this roundtable, will be hosted by Matt Gilmore, CTV News reporter specializing in environment and climate change. So I invite you to go to sign up on Eventbrite. You can find all the information on events at Westmount, on the westmount.org City of Westmount website. So that's April 22nd at 7 p.m. In two more updates, if you can be patient with me, Mayor Smith. The next is leaf blowers. So as some may have heard, leaf blower season has begun. According to the City of Westmount bylaws, we allow leaf blower seasons, 2 seasons per year and for one month duration. So from April 1st to May 1st, our contractors will be allowed to use leaf blowers, and there's another season from October to December. Leaf blowers are allowed to be used Mondays to Saturdays between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., not on Sundays nor on statutory holidays. And there's a 65 dBA noise threshold that they cannot pass. So in the application to urban planning for the permit to operate landscaping contracting services in Westmount, they must provide the name and model of the particular leaf blower. And what's new and what we're doing now is our public security officers will be doing rounds and will be monitoring very closely and doing a little bit of a visit a campaign during this month and issuing tickets for anyone who passes those noise thresholds or who don't have the right equipment. So this is leaf blower update. And the other item I wanted to mention, we will be tabling minutes of the Transportation Advisory Committee. And on one of them is the TAC recommendation on the parking on Lansdowne. And I know that many residents in District 5 have been asking about that. So we will be tabling that report, and essentially the TAC recommends, has received the input from residents, and a majority of residents favored the parking on the east side. And for the reason of safety, the TAC is recommending that parking be moved to the east side. And now this will take on to the next step and be discussed at a general committee meeting with council. So at another council meeting, there will be a tabling of a decision at that point. So I just wanted to share with you the process, as there have been many questions from residents coming through. And I think that ends my round of comments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Breschke. Councillor Gallery has an update.
Yes, thanks. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I have good news because we're starting to plan summer. So for Sports and Rec, we are starting summer registration for soccer and summer camp next Tuesday, April 13th. And the following week, we'll be starting registration for tennis. The hard surface tennis courts outside will be open next Monday, April 12th, weather permitting. And a reminder to everyone, please get a valid 2021 Sports and Rec card. You can get your form online. It's easy to do, but you must have it to register, and you must have it also to play at the outdoor tennis courts. I also have a shout out for soccer coaches. Every year, we're always looking for new volunteer soccer coaches. So if you or anyone you know, a neighbor, a friend that you think can have fun and add value, we'd love to have them. It's easy to submit a name or register yourself. You can contact one of our coordinators. You can email recreation@westmount.org. Or lastly, you can call 514-989-5353, and someone who answers will point you in the right direction. At the library, we have our annual and very exciting seed lending library program. So it's free seeds available for residents. There's a limited amount. Basically, it's first come, first serve. And again, you have to go online, you request the seeds you want, and it's for library members only. And as per usual, our monthly events, April's another busy month. We have lectures, we have cinema, our cinema club, we have an author event, we have our virtual quiz night, we have a poetry showcase. We're celebrating the National Canadian Film Day. And lastly, we have one of our monthly fireside chats with Mitch Joel. So again, please check our websites. All the information's there. Lots going on to keep you entertained as the weather transitions. And anyway, take care and please keep your distance and mind all the safety protocols. That's it from me.
Thank you for the update. And in terms of volunteer coaches, I would also encourage students. So high school students will be paired with others to help volunteer, and we will happily sign your volunteer hours if that is something that you want to do. And I've spoken to lots of students who have done it before, and I think they all unanimously say that it's a very rewarding experience. So if you have a high schooler that is looking for some volunteer hours and loves soccer, then this is a great opportunity for them. Thank you very much. Councillor Lulham, I think you have an update as well.
I do. Thank you, Mayor Smith. I'm pleased to announce that de Maisonneuve, which has been closed at Atwater for at least the last 2 years for the work on the Atwater subway station, that we have been working with Ville Marie, the City of Montreal, Borough of Ville Marie, to keep it closed, to create a parquet area from there to Dawson. And I'm very pleased about this. We found over the last 2 years that the traffic, coming to de Maisonneuve at Atwater, at that point had to split and either go to Sherbrooke or St. Catherine, which are arterial roads and can handle the traffic. And it reduced the traffic going through the residential area along de Maisonneuve to Melville. So the good news is we're working to keep it closed and create a parquet recreational area that will put picnic tables and the like in and animate. We're working with Westmount Square as well. So very excited about that. It'll mean that not a big deal this year because a lot of de Maisonneuve will be closed to the Montreal Waterworks program. But moving forward in the fall when that's finished, I think it'll be very good and reduce the traffic on a residential street predominantly that has a lot of children going to St. Leon School, etc. It's a main pedestrian way. So I think that's very good news for Green Avenue and for Victoria, for the two commercial areas, Victoria Village and Cafetier Green. We are going to be doing what we did last year, putting out tables and moving over the parking on Green. This year we're extending towards St. Catherine. So we're looking forward to that coming up in the next few weeks. On Sherbrooke, we'll be putting out the parquets in some new locations this year. We've worked with the Merchants Association, and so very excited about that. I wanted to mention that unfortunately the special tree distribution has been canceled this year. It was last year as well, and that's due to COVID. The coordination of delivering the trees and the like is not possible. That money, though, is going in the tree program, so it will buy more trees for us to plant. The city is currently trimming trees, so if you see an arbor truck, it is probably a city tree that is an ash borer or otherwise disease that's being taken down. They're currently in the process. However, a warning to all residents, if you want to cut a tree, you need a permit. And that all the information is available on the city website. You cannot cut a tree anywhere on your property without a permit. So do take note of that. And I just wanted to mention that in Summit Woods, not only for the protection of the plants, which is very important, we have lots of beautiful spring flowers up there, but also it's the migration period for the birds. So it's the major migration period and the birds nest. And so that's a second reason to keep your dog on a leash, not to ruin the flowers, but also not to scare off the migratory birds who are nesting. And those are my reports.
Thanks very much, and some very good news on de Maisonneuve. That's for sure, and especially in terms of long term as well for the amount of cars that are on that street. So thank you for the update on that. And now, Councillor Kez, do you have an update?
No updates, Mayor Smith.
Okay, thank you. So now we will move to the first question period, la première période de questions, which I will hand over to the city clerk, but I would add that we have a second question period in Westmount City Council meeting. So now that we are on sort of a new format of this, you can ask your second question through the Q&A, through the Q&A button if you are watching live. So I will now hand it over to Le Greffier, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So our first question received today is from Daniel Lambert of the Association of Pedestrians and Cyclists of Westmount. And his question is as follows. With the warm weather, the number of residents walking along the Maisonneuve sidewalks, the bike path, and the driving lane on their way to Green Avenue, Alexis Neon, or downtown continues to increase. During the repairs to de Maisonneuve water pipes this summer, we have suggested that the city create a safe zone along the south side of Sherbrooke Street. To be viable, the route must allow residents to cross or pass other pedestrians while maintaining a 2-meter distance. The acceleration of COVID variants has made social distancing even more important. Has the city identified an alternative walking route during the water pipe repairs?
Thank you for your question. And I know Mr. Lambert has been in contact with the city about this. And as Councillor Lallam had mentioned before, I mean, there's sort of two sections of de Maisonneuve that we're talking about. There's the area around Dawson, which is being closed and becoming a pedestrian walkway and getting animated. And then there is the area west of that, which will start at Clark, which will have the City of Montreal doing work on their water network. And we are in the process of finalizing some of those plans, but we are assured that we have come up with a safe and viable solution for both the bike path and the pedestrians. So we should be able to give more details on that soon. I'm not sure if there's anything else we can update on that at this point, but rest assured, pedestrian safety and the bike path were certainly very much a priority when our engineering team and our Assistant Director General were looking at this project and the impact on residents. So we can be, this is sort of a ever-changing, or this is an evolving project. So Mr. Lambert, I will be in touch with you this week with probably, I'll be able to give you some more details on that. Anyone else want to comment on that? No? Okay, thank you. Next question.
Okay, our next question is from Patricia Dumais. And her question is, Dear Council, I am pleased the rebuilding of the conservatory is finally on track. But what of the future of the working greenhouses? Apart from their heritage value, many Westmounters feel that they should be recycled into useful public spaces for educational and artistic activities. Will the city seriously consider this possibility?
Thank you for your excellent. It's a great question. And yes, the work on the greenhouse on the conservatory is well underway, as anyone can see if you walk by. And the analysis will begin on the back on, I guess you'd call them the working greenhouses. And they're an important space, but we really need to do an analysis of the state of it. So, Councillor Lallam, do you want to add to this at all?
Yes, we will be needing to keep some of the working greenhouses as well as the workshop in order for the conservatory. When they mount a show in there, they keep the extra plants, etc., in a working greenhouse, and they grow some things for there as well. But there are 7. And some are in very, very bad shape. So the city is doing an analysis of, the foundations, the amount of work, et cetera. And only once we have that information will we be able to make an assessment of what can be done with them. There was talk, as you know, in the past of having educational greenhouses. So it's certainly an interest. However, right now we want to get the conservatory finished. And that's a major cost of $5 million. So we'll have to see what it involves for the other greenhouses and potential programming.
Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Dumais, for your question. Next question.
Our next question is from Robert Babchak, and I'll just take this opportunity to note the rules of procedure for council question periods is in fact one question and a follow-up question. Given the difficulty of a follow-up question, the nature of submitting questions in advance, we have been accepting 2 questions per person, per resident. We've received 3 questions from Mr. Babchak. Given that we don't have a particularly heavy question period right now, I'll read through all 3 at once as it's essentially, as if it was the one question with its follow-up questions. But just to note that we should really stick to our procedure of 2 questions maximum. So this question from Mr. Babchak is, Dear Mayor Smith, has a revised or new replacement plan or preliminary program been filed for 325 Melville? If yes, when and where will it be made publicly accessible? In the March 23rd edition of the Westmount Independent, you described the need for changes to the constitution of the Demolition Committee. Can you describe the extent of those changes, the reasons for the changes, and confirm whether they will reinstate transparency with respect to the proposed replacement program? And considering that unusually council deferred the 325 demolition meeting, when does council expect to schedule the deferred meeting of the Demolition Committee for 325 Melville?
Apologies, I was on mute. Thank you for your questions. I guess there are 3 submitted, but they're all on the same topic of 325 Melville and the demolition application that had been filed. So just so make sure I get them all. Yes, this, as Mr. Babchak is aware, this was deferred, which can happen at demolition hearings, and it truly is about the demolition. This happened on other files as well. So what I think he's asking as well is where is it in the process at this point? This project, or this application for 325 Melville, which the owner has the right to submit, has been submitted to the Urban Planning Department. It will be analyzed by the Board of Inspection actually later this week. And if that analysis is completed at that point, if it is completed, then it will be referred to the PAC, where they will make a recommendation, if they deem necessary, to the demolition committee. I can't tell you what those dates are. I know that the board is going to be analyzing it, I think, this week. But then subsequently, if it moves to the next step, it would then be referred to the PAC, to the CCU. So, but I don't have a date for a subsequent demolition hearing. So I think that was one of the questions. And then I think the last question on this was a reference to the Westmount Independent and the need for talking about changes to the demolition committee. We are certainly analyzing what in the past, the city of Westmount has had 3 members of the demolition committee, of which the members were not the member of PAC, because it was separate from PAC. If I don't believe that the members of the demo committee was also the commissioner of urban planning that sat on PAC. Then that changed to the entire council, and now we are reviewing if that's the most effective way to deal with demolition hearings. But it's also, we are in a new era as well. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to go offline. So demolition hearings will continue to take place via Zoom, and they'll probably be in person and online at the same time. So we need to, I think what I was also referring to in that article was how to best manage those meetings so that they are the most effective, and that we can hear from concerned citizens as we make our decision for that. So I think that covers the questions. Does anyone else have anything they want to add to that? No. So thank you, Mr. Babchek, for your questions on that. And we will certainly, if this file were to move forward, then we will certainly make that information available to the public. City Clerk, do we have any more questions?
We do. So we have we received a second question from Patricia Dumais. And
Okay.
the question is, the Westmount YMCA has an indoor pool, a gym, and rooms for fitness classes. Lately, it has been suffering financially. Suggestions have been made by residents as to a possible partnership between the Y and Westmount for use of its facilities. Instead of spending many millions of taxpayer dollars on even more infrastructure that will have to be run and maintained, the Y could be renovated at a fraction of that cost. Will the city look into this sensible approach?
Thank you for your question, Ms. Dumais. It's timely. I was actually speaking to the Y last week. They are going to reopen. They are reopening. I mean, with today's announcement, I'm not. We have to analyze what that's going to mean for individual sports as well. Their intention was to open the pool this week, but I'm not sure. We have to figure out what the newest restrictions are going to be. But their intention is not. The Westmount Y is not going to be one of the ones that closes. But we have a very good relationship with them, and we have talked about extending Westmount swim hours there as well, and how we can help achieve that in terms of having more public swim for Westmount residents. So it's a great suggestion is what I would say to you at this point. But the Y has, from what I understand from the leadership at the Y, every intention is to keep the Westmount Y open. Does anyone else want to comment on that? No? Okay, thank you. Next
Okay.
question.
We have one final question, a two-part question from Francois Lheureux. And his question is, Dear Mayor Smith, considering the postponement on the March 15th Demolition Committee meeting pertaining to the 325 Melville Avenue demolition permit request, can you please explain in detail the next steps and precise timeframe on the agenda of the new revised demolition committee? And on the same subject, can the council and/or demolition committee confirm that the only information pertaining to the demolition request showed that the real intention of the promoter was and still is to build two huge residential buildings on the same cadastre lot?
Thank you, Mr. Lheureux, for your question about, again, 325 Melville and the demolition hearing. I'm not sure if you heard before, but my explanation about where it's at in terms of the application. So the owner of the building has filed an application. It's going to before the Board of Inspection at the end of this week. And from there, if it is deemed after the analysis that's completed by the Board of Inspection, the next step for it to be recommended to the CCU, to the PAC, where they will determine a recommendation for the demolition committee. I can't give you a timeline on those dates because those are not set yet. But I do know that by the end of this week, it will begin its review process with the Board of Inspection. And I think the second part of the question was about information pertaining to the demolition request showed the real intention of the promoter was and still is to build two huge residential buildings on the same cadastre lot. I can't comment on that. I haven't been presented the first project was withdrawn, and I haven't been presented the second project because it hasn't gone before the board at this point. So I haven't, I don't know if anyone else can comment on that, but I can't comment on that at this stage. But again, we will, any changes on this file, any updates will be made. We will make sure that they are up on our website and on our social media platforms. And obviously we have a list of the people that have been concerned and vocal on this, and we will make sure to send that to them as well. So thank you for that. Thank you very much for the question, Mr. Loder. Is that it for questions?
That's all we've received for our first question period.
Okay, thank you. So you can submit questions for the second question period. So now we move into
Mayor Smith?
yeah.
Mayor Smith, I noticed there's a question in the Q&A that's been submitted.
Well, I think those will be dealt with in the second question period, I guess, because I think
Just
it's-
so you know.
To be fair, I think we have to follow the rules where the first question period, right, Andrew, is dealt with where they're submitted. Okay, thank you. And then we can look at the questions after. So now we move to the agenda, item number 4, l'adoption de l'ordre du jour, le conseiller Breschke.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Je propose que l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du Conseil du 6 avril 2021 soit adopté.
Merci beaucoup. Est-ce que j'ai un appuyeur pour ça? Councillor Bostock, all in favor? Carried. Item number 5, again, Councillor Breschke, l'approbation du procès verbal.
I move that the minutes of the regular council sitting and of the demolition committee sitting held on March 15, 2021 be approved.
Thank you. A seconder? Councillor Shammy, all in favor? Carried. Reports to council. There is no correspondence to table, but item 6.2, Councillor Kez. There are no minutes to be tabled as well, right? Item 6.4, Councillor Breschke.
No, it's me.
Oh, sorry.
The minutes of the Transportation Advisory Committee meetings held on February 2nd, February 16th, March 2nd, and March 16th, 2021 are tabled and are available on the city's website.
Thank you.
And Madam Mayor, if I may, 6.2, I think. That the minutes of the general committee meeting of council held on March 1st, 2021 are tabled and are available on the city's website.
Apologies. Thank you for that. 6.3, there was nothing to table.
No.
6.4, Councillor Conseil Chamy, rapport de la main d'œuvre. 6.5.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The workforce report for the month of February 2021 is now tabled.
Thank you. 6.6, Councillor Kez.
Yeah, the list of payments for the month of February 2021 is tabled.
Thank you. 6.7, list of approvals in virtue of bylaw 1507, Councillor Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In accordance with bylaw 1507 on the delegation of powers to certain employees of the city of Westmount, the list of authorization of expenditures for the month of February 2021 is now tabled.
Thank you. Item number 7, le conseiller Breschke encore, orientation du conseil sur les sujets devant être présentés au conseil d'agglomération de Montréal.
Je propose que la mairesse ou, en son absence, la mairesse suppléante soit autorisée à prendre toute décision qu'elle jugera opportune à l'égard des sujets inscrits à l'ordre du jour de la séance du conseil d'agglomération de Montréal devant se tenir le 22 avril 2021 et ce, dans le meilleur intérêt de la ville de Westmount et de ses résidents.
Merci beaucoup. Est-ce que j'ai un appuyeur pour ça? Madame Gallery, tout en faveur? All in favor? Carried. Item number 8, Councillor Shammy, new administrative structure and nomination, Human Resources Department.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before I begin with the nominations, je veux juste souligner the retirement of Madame Jocelyne Dragon and to say a big thank you au nom de tout notre conseil. We wish her a great retirement. We say thank you for exceptional service and just a shout out. With that, la nouvelle structure administrative et nomination. Je vais lire, Madame la mairesse, the whereas. Attendu que, selon l'article 71 de la loi sur les cités et villes, le Conseil nomme par résolution les fonctionnaires et employés qu'il juge nécessaires à l'administration de la ville et fixe leur traitement. Attendu que, le 1er avril 2019, le Conseil municipal a adopté les conditions de travail et rémunération des cadres. Attendu que le poste de directeur du service des ressources humaines sera vacant. Attendu qu'une planification triennale de changement graduel de la structure administrative de service des ressources humaines est en place depuis 2019. Attendu que la directrice du service des ressources humaines recommande la nomination de Madame Annie-Claude Serra au poste de directrice du service des ressources humaines. Attendu que la directrice du service des ressources humaines recommande la nomination de M. Roslan Medioni au poste de directeur adjoint du service des ressources humaines. Et attendu que la directrice du service des ressources humaines recommande la nomination de M. Richard Pires au poste de conseiller au service des ressources humaines. Madam Mayor, I propose that Council approve the 2021 organizational chart for the Human Resources Department as per the attached report, and that Madame Annie-Claude Serra be appointed to the position of Director of Human Resources, Grade 3, effective April 6th, 2021, in accordance with the salary recommendation of the Director of Human Resources as stipulated in the decision-making file number 2021-1236, and according to the terms provided for in the working conditions and remuneration of management personnel. That the appointment of Madame Serra be on a permanent basis once she has completed a probationary period of a maximum of 12 months. That Monsieur Roslan Medioni be appointed to the position of Assistant Director of Human Resources, Grade 5, effective April 6, 2021, in accordance with the salary recommendation of the Director of Human Resources as stipulated in the decision-making file number 2021-1236, and according to the terms provided for in the working conditions and remuneration of management personnel. And the appointment of Mr. Medioni be on a permanent basis once he has completed a probationary period of a maximum of 12 months. And finally, Madam Mayor, that Mr. Richard Pires be appointed to the position of Advisor, Human Resources, Grade 7, effective April 6, 2021, in accordance with the salary recommendation of the Director of Human Resources as stipulated in decision-making file number 2021-1236, and according to the terms provided for in the working conditions and remuneration of management personnel, and that the appointment of Mr. Pires be on a permanent basis once he has completed a probationary period of a maximum of 12 months.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shammy. Do you have any further comments on this, or would you like me to comment? Or you can.
Please.
As you stated before, Madame Dragon is retiring from the City of Westmount, and Madame Serra will be taking on the position of the Director of Human Resources, as well as Monsieur Medioni, who's moving into a new position, and Mr. Pires. But so this is, the HR department is not something that is not a department that citizens typically interact with, but they essentially take care of the employees that do. So in terms of working with Public Works, and especially in the past year where we had to pivot and where it was a whole new working environment, HR has played a key and critical role in us being able to continue to deliver service to citizens. So we thank them for that, and I wish Madame Dragon the very best in a well-deserved retirement, and congratulate our 3 new appointees today. And wish them well in their continued service for the citizens of Westmount. So I don't know, Mr. Shammy, if you want to add anything else to that.
No, just to follow on your words, Madame Mayor, just a welcome aboard, and thank you for Madame Dragon for exceptional service, and we're looking forward to working together.
Okay, great, thank you. And do I have a seconder on this motion? Councillor Bostock, all in favor? Carried. Item number 9, ESRI Entreprise Agreement for Small Municipalities. Councillor Cutler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $34,309.92, including tax credits for the 2021 fiscal year, for the purchase of licenses from Environmental Systems Research Institute, ESRI, under the ESRI Entreprise Agreement for the Small Municipalities SG-EA for the City of Westmount, and to award ESRI Canada Limited the contract for this purpose for a period of 3 years for a maximum amount of $99,880 plus taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents for the proposal number 00024012, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1208.
Thank you, Councillor Cutler. Do I have a seconder on this? Councillor Shammy, do you have any further comments on this, Councillor Cutler? No, all in favor? Carried. Item number 10, lease renewal 9314-0408 Quebec Inc., otherwise known as in our community as the Mouton Noir Traiteur. Councillor Gallery.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas at its regular sitting in October 3rd, 2016, the City of Westmount entered into an agreement with 9314-0408 Quebec Inc., Mouton Noir Traiteur, for the operation of a cafe in the Westmount Recreation Center, resolution number 2016-10-196. Whereas the lease is for a term of 5 years and will end on August 31st, 2021. Whereas the lease provides the leasee with an option to renew for a term of 3 years. Whereas the leasee has expressed his intention to renew the lease in accordance with the terms of said lease. Whereas the city wishes to continue the operation of a cafe in the Westmount Recreation Center. I move that the City of Westmount renew the agreement with 9314-0408 Quebec Inc., Mouton Noir Traiteur, for the operation of a cafe in the Westmount Recreation Center for an additional 3 years in accordance with the terms of the attached lease. That the city clerk be authorized to sign the lease and all the other documents required to give effect to this resolution.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gallery. A seconder is Councillor Lulham. Any further comments on this?
Well, we're delighted to continue working with Mouton Noir and have them in the rec center. And for all right now, they're still doing takeout. And as soon as their terrace is allowed to be open, we will let you all know. So,
perfect. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 11, group purchase with the Centre d'Acquisition Gouvernementale, rental and purchase of printers. This item is Councillor Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that Council authorize the City of Westmount to participate in the group purchase with the Centre d'Acquisition Gouvernementale for the rental and purchase of printers, and that the purchasing manager be mandated to act as a representative of the city for this call for tenders and be authorized to sign any and all documents required to give effect to the present resolution.
Thank you, Councillor Shammy. A seconder on this will be for printers, Councillor Bostock. Any further comments? No? All in favor? Carried. Item 12, again, Councillor Cutler, l'achat recoupé avec la Ville de Montréal, salle de déglaçage pour la saison d'hiver 2021-2022. It's not, we're just out of it and we're already planning for the next one.
Yeah, this is sort of the reality, right? We finish the winter and we start planning for next winter. Thank you, Madam Mayor, I'll move this item. I move that the council authorize the City of Westmount to participate in the group purchase with the Ville de Montréal for the supply of road salt for the 2021-2022 winter season, and that the purchasing manager be mandated to act as a representative of the city for this call for tenders and be authorized to sign any and all documents required to give effect to the present resolution.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for this motion? Councillor Breshke. Any further comments on it?
We do this every year. We buy our road salt in bulk with the City of Montreal to get a better price.
Perfect. Thank you. A city on the hill uses a lot of salt. All in favor? Carried. Item number 13, again, Councillor Cutler, appel d'offres public, banque d'heures pour services professionnels d'architecture.
Mayor, I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $78,740.62, including tax credits for the 2021 fiscal year for a bank of hours for professional architecture services tender number PUB 2021-011 and toward Affleck de la Riva Architect SENC the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $291,289.16, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents, the call for tenders PUB 2021-011, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1199.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cutler. And a seconder on this motion will be Councillor Breschke. Any further comments on this?
I mentioned this before. We usually buy a range, so there's sort of a low end and a high end. That explains kind of the minimum maximum.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 14, which is again Councillor Cutler, is call for public tenders, bank of hours for professional services, engineering buildings. Councillor Cutler, over to you.
Madam Mayor, I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $104,987.50, including tax credits for the 2021 fiscal year for a bank of hours for professional services, engineering buildings, tender number PUB 2021-012. To award Group Civitas Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $279,044.33, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call for tenders PUB 2021-012, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1201.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this motion will be Councillor Peart. Any further comments on this?
No.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 15, call for public tender supply of waste baskets. Councillor Breschke.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $194,155.48, including tax credits, for the supply of waste baskets, tender number PUB-2021-015, to award to Equiparc Manufacturier d'Équipement de Parc Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $212,625.57, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual document of the call for tenders PUB 2021-015, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1206.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder on this? Councillor Shammy. Any further comments on?
Yes, I can say that this is our second major or a larger purchase of the waste baskets. So we've had our old waste baskets are due to be replaced, and we're replacing them with baskets that have compartments for recycling or waste or composting. So we've received good feedback from them. I think the lids have been slightly adjusted, and it's the same supplier as per the ponderation that we had moved last year. So it responds to the tender.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Item number 16, call for public tenders, water main rehabilitation by structural lining on various streets in the city of Westmount, PUB-2021-021. Councillor Cutler again.
Mayor, I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $1,032,288.21, including tax credits for the water main rehabilitation by structural lining on various streets in the city of Westmount, tender number PUB 2021-021, and to award to Senexin Environmental Services the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $1,130,490.17, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call for tenders PUB 2021-021, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1225.
Thank you very much for that. Do I have a seconder on this motion? Councillor Bostock. Any further comments on this, Councillor Cutler?
I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and as is often mentioned, so much of our infrastructure work is driven by our water network, which is under the streets. So this is, again, an example of that. All in favor? Carried. Item number 17, call for public tenders, purchase of Washington street lamps. Councillor Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Apologize here. Just to remind me the number again.
Item number 17.
Thank you.
Washington
yes, Madam
street
Mayor,
lamps.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $99,500.43, including tax credits for the purchase of Washington street lamps, tender number PUB 2021-026, and to award to Pro Ballast Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $108,965.95, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call of tenders PUB 2021-026. And finally, Madam Mayor, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1222.
Thank you so much. And do I have a seconder on this issue for the Washington street light? Councillor Gallery, any further comments on this?
Straightforward.
No. All in favor? Carried. Item number 18, call for public tenders, rehabilitation of street and sidewalk cuts in the city of Westmount. Again, Councillor Cutler. Item 18. Councillor Cutler.
Madam Mayor, I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of
there you go. You want to start again? You were frozen for
I'm
a
back
second.
here.
You're back.
That's
Item
weird.
18, Councillor Cutler.
My internet cut out there. My apologies.
No worries.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $282,004.
So Councillor Cutler, you're freezing again, so I'm going to get
street and sidewalk cuts in the city of Westmount. Option B, tender number PUB 2021-027. And to award to Les Entreprises de Construction Ventec the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $309,282.75, including taxes, the whole in conformity of the contractual documents of the call for tenders PUB 2021-027, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1227.
Thank you. Sorry, you
Hopefully
were frozen.
all that.
I think we got all that. I'll just check with the city clerk because some of it was frozen. Does it need to be reread into the record, or is that sufficient?
There were, I don't want to miss any important elements there on the price and the option, if possible. If you don't mind rereading that.
I can repeat it all.
It seems like your internet is stabilized.
Okay.
Yeah. So you reread.
So I'll reread. My apologies to our audience here. I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $282,416.38, including tax credits for the rehabilitation of the street and sidewalk cuts in the city of Westmount. Option B, tender number PUB 2021-027, and to award Les Entreprises de Construction Ventec Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $309,282.75, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call for tenders PUB 2021-027, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1227.
Thank you very much. I think we got it all that time. And a seconder on this motion, Councillor Shammy. Any further comments on this?
I mentioned this one earlier as well.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 19, 19, appel d'offres public, d'annulation de l'appel d'offres public. Le conseiller Lalonde.
Whereas tenders were publicly opened on February 5th, 2021 for the reconstruction of the King George Pond, tender number PUB-2021-002, and minutes prepared by the city's clerk office were submitted to this meeting. Whereas following the analysis of the opened tenders, the prices were deemed too high. I move that the two tenders submitted as a result of the call for tenders bearing number PUB-2021-002 for the contract for the reconstruction of the King George Park Pond be rejected on the basis that the prices received are too high.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this motion will be Councillor Shammy. Do you want to give any further details on this, Councillor Lalonde?
Yes, we're quite disappointed. We had gone out to tender in the past, and we didn't get any bids, and then COVID came in the way, so we went out to bids. We have a design done by group Jennifer that we used for the tender documents. However, the prices came in 75% higher than we had predicted, and henceforth we recommend rejecting these bids, and we will go back out in the fall. We will re-examine the documents and resubmit for tender at a future date for next year. But the intention is to rebuild the pond.
Perfect. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 20, call for tenders by invitation purchase of Prinoth parts for sidewalk caterpillars. Again, Councillor Cutler.
I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $83,990, including tax credits for the purchase of Prinoth parts for sidewalk caterpillars, tender by invitation number INV 2021-012, and to award Equipment Planal Limité the contract for this purpose at its proposal for a maximum amount of $91,980, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call for tenders by invitation INV 2021-012, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1230.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cutler. A seconder on this will be Councillor Bostock. Any further comments? No?
These are just parts that we need for the sidewalk caterpillars.
Perfect. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 21, again, Councillor Cutler, la demande de proposition fourniture d'asphalte, this is a supply of asphalt.
Mayor, I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $63,464.94, including tax credits for the supply of asphalt, request for proposals number DDP 2021-009, and to award to DJL Construction Inc. the contract for this purpose at its proposal for a maximum amount of $69,502.39, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the request for proposals DDP 2021-009, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1220.
Thank you very much. A seconder on this will be Councillor Bostock. Any further comments on this?
No.
No. All in favor? Carried. Item number 22, demande de proposition location de clôture de protection sur Weardale Park. Councillor Lalonde.
Whereas the request for proposals was sent for the rental of protective fencing on Weardale Park, and that in conformity with bylaw 1556 on contract management, the déclaration relative aux mesures prises pour assurer la rotation des contracteurs, annexe 4 is submitted to this meeting, whereas following the analysis of the proposal received, Scaffolds Plus Laval Inc. is the selected bidder. I move to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $66,544.65, including tax credits, for the rental of protective fencing on Weirdale Park. To award to Scaffolds Plus Laval Inc. the contract for this purpose at its proposal for a maximum amount of $72,875.06, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the request for proposals, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1209.
Thank you, Councillor Lulham. I'm sure that Councillor Kez would like to second this. Pence. Any further comments on this?
Yes, due to emergency measures brought forth by the independent engineer's report and the urgency to establish a safe and secure passageway for pedestrians and motorists on Dorchester and Weirdale Park to avoid possible injuries, loss of life, or property damage on the public domain, we recommend that Council authorize that Scaffolds Plus, Échafauds Plus, be awarded the mandate for the required protection to secure the area around 4030 Dorchester.
Thank you very much. Any further, that's enough commentary on that. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Cutler again, renouvellement d'un contrat élimination des résidus de balai sur de rue pour la ville de Westmount. Councillor Cutler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to authorize the renewal of a contract awarded as part of the call for tenders by invitation INV 2020-028, resolution number 2020-04-73 to Recyclage Notre-Dame Inc. for the disposal of street sweeper residues for the city of Westmount for a period from April 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021 for a maximum amount of $60,433.04, including taxes, and to authorize an expenditure in the amount of $55,183.42, including tax credits. For the purpose of this contract, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call for tenders by invitation INV 2020-028, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file number 2021-1202.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cutler. A seconder on this? Councillor Shammy, any further comments on it?
So this was initially approved a year ago. This contract, we had an option to renew for the second year. We're exercising here. And in this particular case, where the debris is being brought is actually relatively close to the city compared to some of the other options that exist. So from an environmental perspective, that's a positive.
Excellent. All in favor? Carried. Again, another item for Councillor Cutler, item number 24, modification to a contract purchase of Prinoth parts for sidewalk caterpillars.
Mayor, I move that the contract award to Équipement Planeur Limité for the purchase of Prinoth parts for sidewalk caterpillars, resolution number 2020-0347, be modified and increased to a maximum amount of $86,846.24, all taxes included, and that additional expenditure be authorized in the amount of $17,861.24, all taxes included, for the purchase of Prinoth parts for the sidewalk caterpillars with Équipement Planeur Limité, and to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making files number 2020-0956 and 2021-1231 rather.
Thank you very much. Seconder on this, Councillor Gallery. Any further comments, Councillor Cutler?
Not on this one.
All right, all in favor? Carried. Item number 25, an avis de motion, notice of motion, bylaw 1570 to establish the conditions governing the supply of electricity. Councillor Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're to give notice of motion of the intention.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize. Tell me the number again.
25.
Yeah, here we go. I give notice, Madam Mayor, of the intention to submit for adoption at a subsequent meeting of council bylaw 1570 entitled Bylaw to Establish the Conditions Governing the Supply of Electricity. The object of this bylaw is to establish the conditions governing the supply of electricity, and the bylaw repeals bylaw 1553 to establish the conditions governing the supply of electricity as amended by bylaw 1562.
Thank you. And a copy of the draft bylaw is tabled and available for public consultation. Again, item 26, Councillor Shammy, notice of motion bylaw 1571 to establish rates and certain conditions for the supply of electricity for the year 2021-2022. Councillor Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I give notice of the intention to submit for adoption at a subsequent meeting of council bylaw number 1571 entitled a bylaw to establish the rates and certain conditions for the supply of electricity for the year 2021-2022. Again, this object of this bylaw is to establish the electricity rates for Hydro Westmount customers as of April 1st, 2021, and to establish certain conditions respecting the supply of electricity for the year 2021 to 2022. This bylaw, Madam Mayor, repeals bylaw 1554 to establish rates and certain conditions for the supply of electricity for the year 2020 to 2021 as amended by bylaw 1562. A copy of this draft bylaw is tabled and available for public consultation.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shammy. Item 27, over to the City Clerk, adoption bylaw 1568 to further amend zoning bylaw 1303, zones C5-20-01, C5-20-02, C5-20-03, C5-20-04, C5-20-05, C5-21-07, C5-24-12, and C5-24-14 restaurants. The City Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to report that all formalities required for dispensing with the reading of this bylaw have been observed and that copies of the bylaw have been remitted to all members of council and are available for public reference. The object of this bylaw is to amend the tables of permitted building types and uses attached to zoning bylaw 1303 to remove the maximum area requirements for restaurants and the requirement to serve at tables. The object of this bylaw is also to abolish the restriction on the number of restaurants permitted in zones C5-2001, C5-2002, C5-2003, C5-2004, C5-2005, C5-2107, C5-2412, and C5-2414.
Thank you very much. And can I have the declaration by each member of council present that he or she has read the bylaw and that reading is waived thereof?
So declared.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lulham.
I move that bylaw 1568 entitled bylaw to further amend zoning bylaw 1303, zone C5-2001, C5-2002, C5-2003, C5-2004, C5-2005, C5-2107, C5-2412, and C5-2414 restaurants be adopted.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder on this motion? Councillor Shammy. All in favor? Carried. I should have asked you if you had any further comments, Councillor Lulham, before I did that. Do you have any further comments on this?
I think it's pretty clear. This is a process we've been going through for the last number of months to allow restaurants in our commercial areas and not have restriction on sizes, and to allow them to not necessarily have to have a table service.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I declare that bylaw number 1568 entitled bylaw to further amend zoning bylaw 1303, zones C5-2001, C5-2002, C5-2003, C5-2004, C5-2005, C5-2107, C5-2412, and C5-2414 restaurants having been duly adopted, is ordered that notices be given as required by law. Item 28, number 28, the City Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So item 28 is the adoption of bylaw 1569 to amend bylaw 1530 entitled Règlement concernant le régime de retraite pour les fonctionnaires et les employés de la ville de Westmount, refonte au 1er janvier 2014. And my apologies. So J'aimerais signaler que toutes les formalités requises pour la dispense de lecture de ce règlement ont été respectées et que des copies du règlement ont été remises à tous les membres du Conseil et mises à la disposition du public. L'objet de ce règlement est de modifier la clause qui régit l'amélioration des prestations du régime à même les surplus en cas de terminaison du régime pour le volet antérieur.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Est-ce que je peux avoir la déclaration de la part de chaque membre du Conseil présent à l'effet qu'il ou elle a lu le règlement et que la lecture en est dispensée?
So declared.
So declared. Now,
I think I have to move that.
Yeah, Councillor Kez.
OK. Je propose que le règlement 1569, intitulé Règlement visant à modifier le règlement 1530, intitulé Règlement concernant le régime de retraite pour les fonctionnaires et les employés de la ville de Westmount, refonte au 1er janvier 2014, soit adopté.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you, Councillor Kez. I declare that bylaw 1569 entitled bylaw 1569 to amend bylaw 1530 entitled Règlement concernant le régime de retraite pour les fonctionnaires et les employés de la ville de Westmount, refonte au 1er janvier 2014, having been duly adopted, it is ordered that notices be given as required by law. Thank you very much. Now we move to item 29, urban planning approval under the bylaw on site planning and architectural integration programs. Councillor Peart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess when it's my turn, that means the meeting's almost over, right? So I move that according to the recommendations made by the Planning Advisory Committee at its meeting held on March 23rd, 2021, the building permit application appearing on the attached list, reviewed under bylaw 1305 on site planning and architectural integration programs be oh, sorry, I have jumped ahead. I just realized it, my mistake. Let me just scroll back to 29. Let me restart. I move that according to the recommendations made by the Planning Advisory Committee at its meetings held on March 22nd and March 23rd of 2021, the building permit applications appearing on the attached list reviewed under bylaw 1305 on site planning and architectural integration programs be approved.
Thank you very much, Councillor Peart. Councillor Lulham, I'm sure would like to second that. Any significant projects you want to highlight in here?
Funny you should ask. We do. We have City Hall, the window project. So that is one of the items. I think we're all looking forward to their replacement. The rest are minor items, including some door and window replacements. There is a large window replacement happening on Cedar, so that's a major project. There's a large restoration project going on in a very large house on that street. So I look forward to that one as well.
Okay, thank you very much. And this becomes the very busy time for urban planning and the permit process.
Indeed.
All in favor? Carried. And the last item on the agenda, again, is an urban planning item, urban planning approval under the bylaw on site planning and architectural integration programs, a denial of a permit application. Councillor Peart again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will, in this case, I will read the whereases. So whereas, according to bylaw 1305 on the site planning and architectural integration programs, the issuance of some building permits are subordinate to the prior recommendation of plans by the Planning Advisory Committee. Whereas, according to section 3.2.2 of this bylaw, council must decide on the recommendations of the committee by way of resolution. Whereas the application does not meet the objectives and criteria of bylaw 1305 on site planning and architectural integration programs, whereas the proposed surface of the deck is substantial and approximately 8 feet above ground level, whereas the deck will have an impact on neighboring properties due to its size, height, and proximity to property lines, I move that according to the recommendations made by the Planning Advisory Committee at its meeting held on March 23rd of 2021, the building permit application appearing on the attached list reviewed under bylaw 1305 on site planning and architectural integration programs be denied.
Thank you. A seconder on this, Councillor Lulham. Again, do you want to add further comments on this?
I think the whereases
covered in the whereases.
The necessary context.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. We do not have.
Perfect. Okay, so I just want to back up to 28. My apologies. I believe this item was moved by Councillor Kez, but unless I missed it, I don't believe we had a seconder or a vote on the.
Oh, apologies. So who would like to second pour la régime de retraite?
Maybe if it can be moved again.
Okay. Councillor Kez, will you move item 28 again? Do we have to, we just start at?
Yeah, no, it's okay. Just to move.
Okay.
Okay, I move that bylaw number 1569, entitled Bylaw 1569, to amend Bylaw 1530, entitled Règlement concernant le régime de retraite pour les fonctionnaires et les employés de la ville de Westmount, refonte au 1er janvier 2014, be adopted.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kez. I'm sure Councillor Shammy would like to second that motion. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. I declare that bylaw 1569 entitled bylaw 1569 to amend bylaw 1530 entitled Règlement concernant le régime de retraite pour les fonctionnaires et les employés de la ville de Westmount, refonte au 1er janvier 2014, having been duly adopted, it is ordered that notices be given as required by law. That's good. Thank you. All right. So now we move to the second question period, where I would say since we've gone online for our question periods, we've never had a question in the second question period. So clearly this is a better format because we now have 8 questions in the chat. Do you want to read them? You want me to read them, the city clerk? How would you like to deal with this?
I'll read the questions. I will note that some of these are comments are kind of expressed throughout the course of the meeting. So they might, honestly, though, they're a little out of context to mention now, but as they came in,
there's also a question in there that is from an anonymous person, and so I am happy to answer that question. And for going forward, our expectation is that you use your name, just like you would have to if we were live. I think it's only fair that we know who we're talking to, but I will, because I had not highlighted that before, I will certainly, I have no issue answering that question tonight. So, okay.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that, just to note, that is specified in the procedure that has been in place for years now for question period. The name is supposed to be specified, so we want to carry that same practice forward, of course, in this new medium.
Okay.
But and I did mention that to the person who asked the question, but that's it for moving forward. I'm sure that everyone will take note. So I'll start this in the order that they were received. So our first question is from Leah Girard Nadeau. Hi, where is Westmount regarding the single-use plastic ban legislation, considering the Trudeau government's passed a law in 2020 announcing an overall single-use plastic ban?
Thank you very much for an important question. And certainly it's one that we're working with the agglomeration on, and we believe, like, on issues like this, we are much more powerful when we do this island wide. But it would be something that I support. Does Councillor Brushke want to comment on that?
Yes, obviously something we're supporting and looking at federal legislation, but also Quebec legislation. And the Quebec government has done or announced a number of financing and a number of ways to put the responsibility on the OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, or manufacturers on the production of plastics as well. So there's many things that are happening at the provincial level, federal level, and then agglomeration-wide is our approach as the City of Westmount. As part of the agglomeration, we would encourage the agglomeration to do island-wide legislation rather than each single municipality doing their own.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to work with the City of Montreal and the other independent mayors as well on these types of issues, because the impact is certainly more meaningful when it's island wide on an issue like this. Okay, thank you. But thank you for your question.
Okay. Our next question is from Robert Babchak, And his question is, Dear Mayor Smith, will council ensure that all demolition applications continue to be dealt with in compliance with Westmount bylaws and Quebec Planning Act?
Thank you, Mr. Babchak, for your question. And the answer is yes, absolutely.
Okay, we have, there was a comment by Flavie Desgagnés-Etier, excellent news for the baskets, I believe the waste baskets.
That's good.
There's also a comment from Anne McWhinney that supportive council has helped the HR team in keeping its employees safe over the past year. Thank you.
That's nice. That comes, that is important to note that that HR was certainly pivotal in the past year in making sure that our employees were safe, and not just our employees. Like when we were able to open up the WRC in the summer, you know, HR was instrumental in that. One of the people that we named tonight, Richard Perez, was instrumental in making sure that those buildings were as absolutely as safe as they could be. And so that we could run things like day camp and keep our pool open and keep the WRC open for citizens. So, but thank you, Ms. McWhinney, thank you for your comment.
And another comment from John Fretz. I would like to thank and congratulate the council for their remarks this evening concerning the welfare of Summit Woods and its role in the spring flyover.
Thank you, Mr. Fretz, and thank you for your commitment and always bringing issues of Summit Woods to our attention. You have made some very good recommendations, in which you saw that we talked about tonight, in terms of having more park patrol up there. And as you know, it's never had so much traffic, Summit Woods, but it is precious and it needs to be cared for. And so our goal with having the public security officers up there on the weekends full time when it's really, really busy is to make sure that that happens. And spring is a delicate time up there, so we really. Again, I just reiterate that citizens need to, the rules are clearly posted and citizens need to follow them. It's important for the protection of Summit Woods. Does anyone else want to comment on that?
Said it very well.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, Mr. Fretz, for your comments on that. And then the next question.
We have a second question from Leah Girard-Nadeau. Good evening, dear council. Could we have an update on the Westmount Park refurbishment plan? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. And I know that this has been a topic that a lot of citizens have been discussing and been engaged on. So I will hand it over to Cynthia Lulham, who can fill you in on some more details on that.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. So we ask you to be a little more patient. We're still waiting for the compilation of the survey. It is late, and we're very sorry for that. Unfortunately, personnel changes and the like came into play. However, once we have got the compilation of the survey, we will make it public. And with that, we will have a timeline, and we will have lots of fun and exciting new ways of consulting with you, both on site, through a brochure, many exciting things. You will be asked many questions and you will have the opportunity to answer them, and we will be listening. At the same time, we also want to clarify many of the plans in Stantec's proposal. So it'll be an educate and ask program, and we look forward to it. So just a little more patience, please. But we are working on it.
Thank you. Thank you. And the next question is that the anonymous question? Is that?
That's our last question is from anonymous. Will the mayor recommend to the agglomeration that police wear body cameras in the interest of averting racial profiling, as occurred with Mr. Camara, whose situation would never have been resolved had it not been for a bystander using his or her cell phone?
Okay, thank you for your question. It's an important one, and it is something that I have supported at the agglomeration. as did other mayors of independent cities and many councillors. And I supported it at the Finance Committee as well when I sat on the Finance Commission for the agglomeration as a representative of the ASM, and when dealing with the police when they would come to give their description of their budget. Is certainly something that I had proposed, but it's one step. It's also needed. What we've also been vocal about and supported is the need for more support in the community through social workers with the SPVM. So it can't be done in isolation, is what my answer to that would be. But it is absolutely something that I 100% support. Does anyone else want to comment on this? No? Okay. Thank you. Is that it for comments or for questions?
We received another one just now. This question, sorry, it's a lot of windows here. Okay, this is from François Lheureux. Mayor Smith, in referring to the restructuring of the demolition committee, you noted that the urban planning committee will not be part of the 3 members committee. Why is that?
No, I think what I was noting was that the urban planning committee, so that I'm not sure if Monsieur Lheureux, if you mean the PAC, they were not members of the demolition committee. What I was referring to in the past was that there was a 3-person committee prior to it being all of council. And the 3-person committee did not include the member of the city councillor who was the commissioner for urban planning. So I hope I've made that a little bit clearer, and that was
Mayor Smith,
yeah.
If I could just jump in, it might just be instrumental just to clarify that the 3-person member of the demolition committee would all be councillors.
Yes. Sorry. Okay. So maybe I hadn't made that clear. The point that I was trying to express was that the previous, when it was 3 people, it did not include the councillor who was also the commissioner for urban planning.
I would just say originally it did. And then we decided that person already has a role at PAC. And so they sit with PAC, and PAC gives a recommendation. So then it was changed to be 3 non-PAC council members.
Yeah. Okay. Hope that clarifies that. So that's,
yeah,
I guess
just to add, under the Act respecting land use planning and development, the council members are the committee must be made up of council members. It's to be made up of 3 council members or the entire council, but it's specified that it's council members. It's not members of the administration on that committee.
Okay, thank you. Hope that clarifies my statement from before. And I think is that the end of questions. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope that you've enjoyed this new format of City Council, and I would call this the meeting is adjourned, and we will see you at our next council meeting. So thank you very much.